So I wanted to see what would happen if I ran a Facebook ad campaign promoting a new song to mostly just the United States. Would the engagement be better in terms of the number of saves and followers and playlist ads on the song? Would the algorithmic push be better in terms of the amount of streams coming from Discover Weekly and Release Radar? Would the algorithmic push be longer in terms of Discover Weekly and Release Radar? And also, how much would it cost? So $1,500, and 2 months later, I have the results from this test. I'm going to walk you through the Facebook ad campaign, the Spotify for Artist data, and even the Apple Music for Artist data in this video. And from the future here, just in case you're not familiar with how we run these campaigns, what we do is we use a Facebook conversion campaign with a pixel installed on the landing page like this, and then we track when a person clicks on one of these buttons, and that's what counts as a conversion. Okay, back to the video. So here we are inside of Facebook ads, and this is the main campaign that I ran things in. Let's back out to the campaign level. The song was Be the Rebel by Falling Satellite, and we spent about $1,533. Now, we got about 3,300 conversions on Facebook, but if we flip over to Feature FM, we actually had about 4,500-ish conversions. Spotify ended up getting about 4,000. Apple got 358, Tidal 26, Amazon 26, Deezer 10, iTunes 10. I'm going to walk you through the Apple Music stats as well in this video. Going down to countries, I mentioned that this was mostly United States campaign. So out of those 4,500 conversions, 3,100 were in the United States, and the next closest is Brazil at 174. So United States was dominantly the biggest country in this campaign. So that's the Feature FM stats. Now, if we go back to Facebook ads, let me walk you through this campaign setup. So if I click on this, let me look at the audiences. There was a good amount of trial and error in here. Tier 1, 2, that's what this T1, 2 is, and then USA. And then HP is kind of like tier 1 countries. They're the highest paying Spotify countries, so I call them HP in this case. So we had 3 main audiences with the United States. We had 2 with tier 1, tier 2, where I capped them to only be allowed to spend $5 a day. And the HP countries didn't get much budget at all. Now, the reason why I did things this way is because initially I launched the campaign with just the United States, but I wanted to see what my cost differences would be if I started adding on other countries along the way. Just because 50 cents a conversion is kind of high. For the United States, is actually a pretty good result. But for a campaign as a whole, it's pretty high. And you can see that the tier 1, tier 2 countries here did not a ton better. Very often, tier 1, tier 2 will do 2 or 3 times cheaper than United States. In this case, they only did maybe a 30% cheaper or something. And then when we compare that to the HP countries, which you can't really see at the moment, it is 53 cents and 64 cents. So in some cases, it's actually more expensive adding in more countries. So the United States actually, that's a pretty good result for the USA only. Now, I tried a few funky things in these audiences. So a lot of this is going to look very similar to a normal setup, and you can watch a video right here for more detailed breakdown of how to set up these campaigns if you've never been to my channel before. But I set up the United States only here, and I'll zoom in again. 18 to 45, Spotify narrowed by rapping, trap, underground, hip-hop, and hip-hop music. And then I click narrow further again. And here we have a bunch of dubstep-related things. So artists and the genre of music, dubstep. Now, this is one thing that I don't normally recommend, but I wanted to try it. I did automatic or advantage placements. If you watch any of my videos except for like 1 or 2, you'll find that I'm generally in favor of using manual placements and generally more recently Instagram only placements. But because I was using the United States only in this campaign, I figured that using the automatic placements would be a lot safer, and it did actually work quite well. I saw some theories floating around the internet and in my community, which, by the way, if you want to join my community for free, there are links in the description as well as all my courses and my ad agency if you want to hire us to run campaigns for you. But you can join my community, and someone actually brought this up where they were saying that they saw a video by Ben Heath, who makes videos on Facebook ads, where he was talking about how automatic placements actually makes your campaign cheaper just by the fact of having it on. You change nothing else. So I wanted to test that out inside of these one of campaigns, but I want to give you a big warning. I generally don't recommend doing that because it can often fail. So be very cautious if you try automatic placements. But that, I think, is part of the reason why things went so well. If I were to go and look at breakdown placements, we can go take a look at how that money was split up inside of that audience. So out of the 1,200 conversions inside of it, 682 into Instagram Reels, 311 into Instagram Feed, 25 Instagram Stories, 112 Facebook Reels. So the vast majority went to Instagram anyways, but if you ever see something too much go into Audience Network, your campaign's just trashed. So that's why I don't use Advantage Plus placements most of the time. but it worked quite well in this United States only campaign and an ad account and a pixel that are super seasoned with a ton of data. Now, if I open up this campaign a bit and show you some of the ads, there was also something interesting that I did here that I haven't really done before. And I'm going to click play, and I'm gonna do it without audio so I can show you. The artwork starts, and then it goes into this AI video here, where it's just kind of this evolving AI iterative video thing, courtesy of Kyber, which is an AI video generation service, not sponsored this video or anything, not affiliated, which is interesting because usually I use AI artwork and then I make video off of that. But in this case, I used human artwork with AI video, which is interesting. And if you like this artwork that we had, and you can see that here, right when the video starts, that artwork that shows was actually handmade by a human. And if you want art that is handmade by a human, and this is an affiliate link, there's this new site called Alpha Art where they can do one of two things for you. One, they have finished art that you can just go and purchase. So you can go here and just find artwork that costs, $39, $55, $47, and then just buy it. It's a one-time license. So if you buy it, no one else can buy it, and you own the artwork. But then on top of that, they can also make you custom art. So you just purchase a package, basically, no matter what you get in artwork, but depending on the package you choose, you get 1 revision, 3 revisions, or unlimited revisions. And then on here, you also get different, coming soon, release date, out now, Photoshop files, social media, Spotify banners based on the artwork for very affordable prices. Like $147 for custom artwork with Photoshop file is very competitive. So then what I did is I got that artwork and I put it through Kyber, which is pretty affordable. It's like $5 or $10 a month. So if you use it, for all the credits you get, it can be pretty worth it. Because these ads, I've run a few campaigns with ads from Kyber or other video AI sources, and it seems like they work pretty well. And this took me literally 5 minutes to make, not even actually. And then I just put different parts of the song under this clip, and it just performed well out the box. Now, this song was very specific. It was basically the definition of where trap music met dubstep music. So I just said where trap meets dubstep. I've used this in the past for my dubstep metal band, Murder Night, and it worked well for Falling Satellite 2. And that is the ad. I tested out a few different parts of the song, verse 1, part 2, drop, verse 1, and build up across all these different audiences. So now let's take a look at the Spotify for artist numbers, and then we're going to go into the Apple Music for artist numbers too. So this is Spotify for artists for the song, and I've already pre-selected this time period to be about the duration of the release. So 6 weeks in, we have 28,256 streams. We've gotten 2,400 saves from 11,800 listeners. So stream per listener is 2.38, and the engagement rate, or at least the save rate, is about 20%. But that's after factoring in algorithmic streams. And this song actually did. You can see all these little spikes. These are algorithmic spikes. So here, this is a spike on a Monday. That's Discover Weekly. This is a spike on a Friday. That's Release Radar. This is a spike. This is a spike on a Monday, Discover Weekly. This is a spike on a Monday, Discover Weekly. And then it dropped off, basically. Sometimes these things get bigger and bigger and bigger. And honestly, even now that the campaign's over, generally the vast majority of streams that you get from an ad campaign happen after the campaign is over. Just from all of these saves and playlist ads, even if you don't get algorithmic playlists, the vast majority of streams will happen after the campaign is over. Usually even 6 months later, the streams have doubled. But it can be more, especially if algorithmic playlists happen. But if we take a look at the sources of streams, in the last 28 days at least, 33% is from recurring listeners and 56% is from algorithmic playlists. If we flip into the playlist category, you can see that the lifetime streams, out of this 28,000, about 10,000 have come from Discover Weekly. So that's a pretty big chunk. And Release Radar is another 1,000. And radio is another 1,000. So, a pretty big chunk, like nearly 50% of the lifetime stream of the song have come from algorithmic sources. And then if you were to look at just the last 28 days, it's actually even more sizable, right? Because in the last 28 days, it's gotten less streams and it's gotten a bigger chunk of them from algorithmic sources. And if you aren't familiar with Discover Weekly and Release Radar, I do have a video here for what the stream numbers you have to get to be able to get on Discover Weekly, because it is kind of a predictable thing. If you hit a certain stream criteria, you can almost guarantee you'll get something from Discover Weekly. And then the matter is, how big of a push do you end up getting and how long does it last? And one thing that's worth noting, this is this artist's very first song, and there's nothing else in the catalog either, but I wanted to show you the follower stats and make a small point about it. So if we look at the lifetime followers, This song came out June 23rd. We had 0 followers then. That was the first release. Fast forward to now, there's 245 followers on this artist. And you could see here we were spending a lot heavier in the ads, and then here we slowed down over the second half. If we kept pushing it harder, Discover Weekly may have accelerated. But every person, every song, every artist has their set budget for a certain campaign, and we hit it with this one. So, but 245 followers for this kind of budget is a great result, especially when there's only one song. When there's more than one song in the profile, generally people are more likely to follow, depending on the genre, of course. But just to kind of set your expectations straight, where sometimes his followers can be better. So if you were to do the math on this, this is like a 2% follow rate. I would be willing to bet that if we did multiple songs that have a bigger catalog, the follow rate would be slightly higher. But I found in general for EDM, the follow rates are less good than something like rock and metal. I have found certain genres have better or worse follow rates. Generally, the older your demographic is, the worse your follow rate's going to be, with the exception for like rock and metal. If there's kind of a middle age range or like 20 to 50 or something, the follow rate can actually be way better than average. Something like EDM I found is generally way worse, but if it's classic rock, then it's even worse than that. So every genre I've noticed has its trend, and every artist can be a little different, but in general, more songs will help you have a better follow rate. So this is the listener breakdown for this artist on Spotify as of right now, and then this is the city breakdown. So obviously a lot of United States cities in the top 10, almost all of them except for a couple of Canadian cities. So let's flip over to Apple Music and see how things compare here. So lifetime, only 870 plays. Apple Music is second. And if you remember in the Facebook ads, we're actually specifically targeting for Spotify, but also way less people have Apple Music than Spotify. But that's why only 8% of the people actually clicked went to Apple Music. Usually this is about 15%. In this case, it was less, which might be normal depending on the genre, right? There was 288 Shazams. This is, I think, people hearing the song but not wanting to click on the ad, so they just Shazam it and then go listen. 2 people actually purchased the song on iTunes, which is pretty neat. I wouldn't expect that for a song like this, which is trap dubstep. If we flip over to the places, we can see what countries did best. And as you might expect, the United States, Canada, Germany, and then Japan. I've noticed that Japan tends to really, really, really favor Apple Music. So most of the people from Japan who clicked went to Apple Music, and in fact, they listened multiple times as well. So the question you might be wondering, was this worth it? And I don't have a concrete answer for you, because we did get a pretty good result in the United States only, and we were able to trigger algorithmic playlists, but it didn't seem like running in the United States only caused a bigger or longer Discover Weekly push than it would be if I just had all those streams coming from Mexico and Brazil or other cheaper countries that would get me more conversions per dollar. Now, one cool side of this is that the top X amount of cities for this artist are the United States, and the biggest audience for this artist are also the United States. So that could actually tie into a touring or merch strategy. And I think if you could replicate a cost per conversion this good in the US, it might make sense to focus on it if touring and merch are in the next 6 months of your plan. But I do want you to keep in mind that not every campaign in the USA is going to do this well. In a lot of cases, if you have a campaign that's 25 cents tier 1, tier 2, it might be 75 cents in the United States. It might even be 75 cents in just tier 1, which is a lot more countries than just the United States. So if you want to learn why the Spotify algorithm hates your music, you can check out this video right here. And if you prefer a organized course on how you can run campaigns just like this and learn it inside and out, along with my country list and a community where you can ask questions, you can check out my course, Spotify Growth Machine, right here. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video. Bye.